Hi, Taryn here with Elegant Upgrades, and I'm coming in the intro in this one. I know I usually don't do that, but I'm very excited because I'm working with Vivo again, and they sent me a woodburning tool. I have been watching, there's a few people that I follow on Instagram that just do the most marvelous, amazing things with wood burning, and it's just gorgeous. And I've always wanted to try it. And they reached out to me a couple weeks ago and were like, hey, we have this, we'd like to see if you want. I'm like, yeah, I'll try it. Just know that I have never done it before, so it could turn out terrible. But they sent it to me anyways, and I think that's really nice. So I'm gonna open up this box. We'll see what we have, because I remember on one of the thrift hauls, I found this huge, sorry it's loud, this huge butcher block cutting board. And I was gonna just refinish it for myself. So I thought, what a good thing to mess up on, because I feel like that's what's gonna happen, is something for myself. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna refinish this and see what happens with some wood burning. I love how they packed this. It was packaged really nicely, and it has everything that you could need in it. I didn't use everything in here because it wasn't necessary, but it does come with the instructions. I think I read through like the safety information once I got it home, and then that was it. I didn't use them at all. I just kind of did my own thing. So this is cool. They give you little wood samples to practice on. That's cool. I like it. I'm gonna need it because I don't know what I'm doing. Again, I know nothing about this, so this could be an adventure. I'm guessing this is for the sponge. I don't know, guys. We're just gonna have to see what happens. I think I'm gonna do this at home though, because I have to go grab Lucas real quick. So I do want to prep the board first. As I said, this needed a good sanding. The finish was coming off anyways, and it had to be refinished. So I'm taking this obviously back to bare wood. There was a little kind of water staining in that corner there, you can see it, which is great because that's where I'm going to burn at, and it just covered it up beautifully and you can't see it anymore. So that's also a great thing. Like if you find a cutting board with kind of imperfections on it, you can always do that part over it. Now, I was not sure what I was going to do. You guys have seen these prints before. They're in a really, really old artist. I will link him down below if you wanted to search for his stuff. So it's royalty free because of the age of all of his paintings. They're usually ones that I print out and use for decoupage. So all I did was pull it up, and I kind of tried to I'm copying it here. You see I have a little pencil, and I'm putting it on tracing paper and just kind of adding. So I'm just taking inspiration from this. I've got the flowers on here, and then I have even a few more of his art prints on my phone as well that I can keep adding to it, so it's not just this one image. I'll have multiple images on it, but this is what I'm doing. I'm just looking at the picture, transferring it to tracing paper, and I am just guessing at this point because I don't know how it's going to turn out or if this is the right way to do things or not. It's just kind of a guessing game for me. So you'll see on my phone I'll kind of swipe to another image, and some I just kind of made stuff up and threw stuff on it if I thought it would look good, just to fill out any blank spots. And it was just filling out these areas to make it look like something that fit in the corner of the cutting board. That's it. There was no rhyme or reason. I'm just adding extra things in, and lots of twigs and things like that. And then once I get kind of a general idea of what I want on the tracing paper, and then I can see through that onto the board, so that was really helpful. I also had carbon paper, and so I put the carbon paper under the tracing paper, and then I'll link that down below. I ordered, it was like a package of carbon paper and tracing paper, and it came with the little pencils and the little tracing deals. It worked really well. It was very inexpensive. It was just on Amazon. I saw that a lot of people were using carbon paper. They also have like carbon erasers, which essentially is just kind of like a sandpapery deal. So, I mean, you could just use sandpaper if you wanted it or whatever. And I just transferred it that way. So you can see me lifting it up, making sure I get all the things, because once the carbon paper is there, you can't exactly see where you've traced. So you want to make sure it's taped in place, and then you kind of lift up everything to make sure you don't have any bare spots, because sometimes you'll miss a part of the paper where you were supposed to trace over it, and there will be a blank. But so now you can see it when it's all on there, and this even wasn't enough. So I added a little bit kind of as I was going that I didn't trace or anything like that. I just kind of added it with the burner once I started getting comfortable with it. And at this point, I had found this tip, and this was my favorite one. There's tons of different tips that they have, and this like mid heat setting worked the best for this wood. And you just play with it. I was just figuring out what worked best for the wood. One thing that I did learn is you don't want it too terribly hot. You want to be able to not just scorch the wood right away. You want it to leave a mark, obviously, but you don't want it to just be like smoking. But so the faster you go, the lighter it is, and then the slower you go, the darker it is. So just playing around with that and learning how to do that. At this point, I had done several of those little wood pieces that they just look like coasters. That's what I'm going to use them for, is just little coasters to give out to people. And they all turned out really well. So you can practice on those first, or any other spare piece of wood that you have, and just go through playing around with everything, getting used to shading, all that. And it's, oh man, you guys, it's just fascinating. It's so cool. And just figuring out how fast you need to move your hand, and how slow you need to move your hand, and what temperature you need for this wood or that wood, and then what temperature you want for different things, because sometimes you do want it hotter if you're going to do like a really dark section. So there is a little bit of learning to it, but I tell you, it really wasn't nearly as difficult as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be just because it's a little bit in reverse of what you typically think when you're doing things. Like I said, you have to work forward to backward instead of back to front, and you're just doing shading, you're not adding highlights. So there is that little bit of difference, but it really, really wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. So I really want you guys to try this. It was so much fun, and it was so, so cool. So yeah, I'm just going on here. This little tip, like I said, this was the favorite one that I found. I used 3 different ones. There's tons more. It came with a bunch of tips. And you just, I don't know, I think you kind of just get used to them, and you find the one that you like best, and you can switch them out when you need to do something bigger or smaller, or have something maybe really precise. But I think you can do a lot with just one. So yeah, you just go over all the lines. You obviously don't want to leave any out. And make sure you fill everything in. You can erase the carbon, but it's kind of a pain. So it's best to just kind of get it on there good. And I found that if I went lightly with the carbon and used the finest tip when I was transferring, I didn't have any issues with it showing through with the burning pen, because the burn lines were wider than the carbon lines. So I didn't have any issues there. And this does take a bit, and I did get faster as I was learning and progressing. But it takes a bit because you're burning wood. You literally can't go faster because it won't leave the depth that you want if you do, unless you turn up the heat, of course, but then you run the risk of damaging. So there's just a lot of things to think about, but it was so calming just to sit here with this and kind of watch it come to life. So yeah, it was a very relaxing thing. So you'll see here, I'm bringing my phone out again just so I can look at the pictures. I'm doing this because when I have everything traced on, it's just the outlines. And if you just wanted to do the outlines of stuff, that's fine. It looked cool just like that, but I wanted to add in the shading. And so I'd kind of outline everything, and then when I was ready to shade, I could do that from the picture, and it was easier to see the shading from the whole pictures. I just sealed everything in with this Butcher Block oil from Chalk Mountain. You guys know I love their stuff. This is food safe and obviously great to use on a, Butcher Block cutting board. It works awesome. It seals everything. It has a wax in it too, so it kind of hardens up as well. And I feel like it just brings everything to life. Now, since this is an in-grain cutting board, it absorbed the stuff like crazy. They had a weird, almost like a clear coat on this when I got it, which is what I sanded off, which is what was breaking down. I thought that was really interesting to have a clear coat on a cutting board like that, but it all got sanded off, and now I'm using Butcher Block oil, which I think is a much better sealer for this, and it's gonna just protect it, and it's just, I feel much more comfortable about having that on there than a weird clear coat that's obviously coming up and gonna be going into your food if you're chopping on this board. So I just wanted you to be able to see the other stuff. I'm using the same Butcher Block conditioner and restore on these as well. I didn't show the process of these because they were literally my practice pieces before I did the cutting board. And so I wanted to make sure that I was doing things well and right before I put it on the cutting board. So those are the little wood pieces that come with the wood burning tool. I practiced some flowers on them. I had asked a couple people what their favorite flower was so that I would have like inspiration, and then I can give these to them as coasters. So I thought that was cool that you could do. And you could seal coasters with something a little stronger, but since I already had the Butcher Block stuff out and I was using it for everything else, I just thought I would use it on these, and it'll work great on these coasters. So the back side of that one, it's so cute. Lucas actually got to do that one. I did let him use this. You guys know I'm pro letting your kids use tools and everything. Just, I like to make sure he's being watched very closely, and we go over all the rules and stuff beforehand. But anyways, so yeah, I just use the same stuff on the rolling pin, on all the little coasters, on the little, it's like a little cheese tray thing with like the little glass cloches. Super cute. I just wanted you to see them, but again, the video would be quite long if I showed you all of the wood burning things. I do have some shorts that I just uploaded if you want to see these actually being burnt. They're on the channel as well. But yeah, just super fun and amazing, and I'm excited to have this and use this for future things. Oh hi, Karen here with Elegant Upgrades, and we've got some finished pieces. So this was so much fun. I'm going to show you the machine really quick that Vivar sent to me. You guys know they've sent me a few things now, and I've yet to be disappointed, so that's pretty exciting. This, I literally had no idea what I was doing. It's the first time I've ever touched one, and I thought it was going to be much more difficult, oh man, than what it was. I'm losing stuff. So it actually comes with 2 of these pens here. I'm going to call it pens for a lack of a better term. This one was my favorite. The other one was the solid, more like a soldering iron. But this one, you can see it has tons of little tips. I got out a few other ones that comes with a bunch of different types of tips to do different shapes and shading and things like that. You just undo these little screws here and pop it out, put a new one in. It cools down really fast and heats up really fast. So that was great. Now the little machine has the 2 plugins. This one's obviously for the wire one, and this one's for the more soldering iron one. And the soldering iron one also comes with additional tips as well. they're just a little bit thicker. And from the research that I did before I started this whole thing, most people who do this kind of artwork tend to go for these. This is the temperature adjustment. It worked really well, on and off switch, which was awesome. I didn't have any issues with it at all whatsoever. It was just super fun. Now, one thing I did notice is when I'm working in my shop where it's cold, I didn't have any issues with this heating up. It just kind of felt nice in my hand. But when I was at home and my house is a reasonable temperature, this did get fairly warm. So that's something to think about. And I saw a few people that use like these little finger guards, or they'll wear gloves or something. So if you have very sensitive hands, that might be something that you might want to consider, or take breaks. Now for me, the downside is I was having so much fun doing this for such long periods of time that my fingers would be getting warm. It never got hot, it never burnt my hand, but it would just feel uncomfortable. But I didn't want to put it down because I was having so much fun. So there is that. But yeah, this is a cool little thing and I'm super, super thrilled with it. I couldn't be happier. I will be using this for a ton of other things. I can't wait. I'm working on a piece of furniture right now that I'm hoping to be able to do something on it, but we'll see. I wanted to get good first before I did it to a piece of furniture. So this comes with what they send you, these little tiny pieces of wood, perfect for coasters. So that's what I'm going to do with these. I'm going to hand these out in the little Christmas treat boxes that I'll give out to some friends and family. So this was really fun. You have these to practice on. It's kind of nice to have them, you can do front and back, you know. It's kind of nice to have them while you're working on things to kind of clean off your tip. Again, there's tons of stuff that I don't know about. I know some people use like leather and stuff to clean off their tips and do the right things, and I just don't know that much about it yet. I'm just kind of having fun because I just got it, but oh, it's so thrilling. So thus far I've done one of the rolling pins, and I just did a little on the side. I didn't want to get it to be too much because you can feel it is burning into the wood, so you can feel a texture on it. So it would still function fully as a rolling pin. However, maybe on like a softer dough, you'd be able to maybe see an imprint. It probably wouldn't show up when baked, but I'm just not sure. So I didn't want to fully cover, but I think that might be something I would do later on just for like a decorative pin because it's pretty. Yeah, and then this I strictly picked up so that I could do this. And so you'll see like this one I practiced on one of the coasters, then you can kind of just add on and keep going. And this one I had practiced on, and so I got to add this there. So once you kind of get the hang of it, I feel like it goes pretty quickly and it's really fun. And then this was the first thing that I did. This was that big butcher block cutting board that I wanted to keep a while ago, and I said I wasn't sure I was going to sand it back. So I sanded it back and I was like, oh, I can do this to it, and it's just amazing. And of course, I don't want to put this on the center because then of course you'll be chopping into all this, which will eventually, you know, wear down with knife marks. But I felt like if I kept it kind of off to the side and on the corner, I could utilize the entire rest of the board and not maybe damage this for a while at least. But yeah, it's just so much fun just to keep adding and figuring out shading and stuff, because it does work a little bit different. Generally when I paint, you know, you start kind of dark and add and build up to the top, but with this you kind of are adding in shadows only, and you work from the front back because, you know, you can't go over the top. It was interesting, but it wasn't as big of a learning curve as I thought it would be. Anyways, this is fascinating. I've got wooden spoons to do as well, and it's been great fun. So I hope you guys give this thing a try because I think it will be phenomenal on furniture once I figure out how to do it, exactly what image I want to do, you know, all the things, but I think it will be fascinating. Yeah, so this will be on the website. The rolling pin will be on the website. I think I might put the cutting board on the website, and then if it doesn't sell before we end up moving, then that's fine. I'll just take it to my house. Anyways, thank you guys so much for following along. This has been a joy. I hope you were inspired by this because I so was. I'm so thrilled. I'm so thankful that they were willing to send this to me, because I had been looking at them for a while, because there's a couple artists that I follow on Instagram that are just, they do amazing, beautiful work, and I'm nowhere near there. But, you know, there's always things to aspire to, which is kind of how I roll on my channel. Just whatever I see and I think is beautiful, I want to try it, and hopefully one day we'll get good at it. So thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next time.